What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to PlayStation Generation, the podcast that believes in generations. My name's Matt, and I'll be your host for today's events. I'm joined, as always, by the PlayStation Hokage himself, Mr. Rice. Boy, what's up, Rice?
Hey, that's really clicking with me, man. Like I feel so tickled and warm, and tickled is a good thing, by the way. Thank you. So good to be here as always, Matt. So wonderful you shaved a little bit, I noticed.
I did, yeah. It was getting to the point where I was having leftover dinner. It was just getting caught up everywhere, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I need to feel like a person again.
Yeah. Hey, look, man, you look beautiful before, you look beautiful now, sir.
You stop. Good
to see you.
Good to see you, my dude. And this week we are very, very excited to be joined by an incredible host, a wonderful person. You may have seen her on the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo live stream. You may have seen her on autosave. You may have seen her all around this wonderful internet of ours, a fantastic voice in the industry. We are joined by Camille. What's up, Camille?
Hello, how are you two doing? This is so exciting. I'm excited to be here, believing in generations and with a Hokage. What?
Right?
Yo, both of y'all just stop. You stop playing with me. So good to see you, Cam. So good to see you.
So good as well. You know, it's funny because we're being Canadian. It's like we have a small circle of video game industry nerds that we interact with online all the time, but we don't actually get to see each other face to face or work on, projects and come together and actually nerd out through those projects. So it's great to do that right here with you guys, and everything you're doing here is super cool.
We're super stoked to have you on board. If somebody somehow doesn't know who you are, which in Canada would blow my mind, because you have done so much fantastic work and you're just such a warm and positive light in this industry that I genuinely think it's just doing fantastic things for it. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do, a little bit about autosave, just the rundown?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, firstly, wow, you're too kind. It's so nice of you to say that. I mean, there are probably people out there that don't know what I do, because we do have a lot of great talent in Canada. But what I do is I do a lot of hosting. Like you mentioned off the top, you might have seen me at the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom official launch. I've done Nintendo Live in Seattle. That was a historic moment for Nintendo doing a live in North America, as well as I'm a host for eNASCAR, the Coca-Cola iRacing series. I'm the first woman of color to host anything for NASCAR, as well as I am the host for Ubisoft's Rainbow Six Siege, where I give the seasonal reveals of what everyone in the community can expect each season, year after year. And of course, Autosave. Autosave is a podcast I do with my co-host, Mr. Nick Andrade. And what it is, it's kind of a different take on a podcast. Like I said, I do really and truly love nerding out and talking about the little things in games, and when you're playing through games that just make you laugh, or that's kind of weirdly worded, or what's happening there moments. And we do that through breaking down a game chapter by chapter. I like to call it a book club for video games, and we take you through that ride with us, and we like to hear from you as well. And I'm just gonna say here, the next game that we're doing is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay.
I think I'm the first to announce that. Hopefully I don't get fired.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, we love FF7 here.
Yeah, but that's what I do. And, I've been in the industry for some time. I started off actually, you're friends with Console Creatures, and I started off there actually writing, covering video game news. And that's kind of where I got my start. And then lugging around a camera to different events that were happening in the city to try to get those behind the scenes moments and interviews with devs and the actors that portray these characters that we love. And it's just crazy to see how much it's grown. And
that is incredible. That is a really, really awesome story. Of course, we got Court in the chat. Camille is better than me. I can retire now. Of course, Court is out this week on the beach or something, totally having a vacation, not at all an issue. And we always grab the best guests when Court is not here, so we have to do it right.
know. Court's awesome.
Cam, we'll get us all back together in the future. 100%. Cam, I have to ask, what brought you to content? Because I feel like everybody's journey into it, like you mentioned that you started, at Console Creatures, getting behind the scenes, but what was it about the world of video games, so the world of content, that you were like, this is something I want to pursue? Because I always love learning about everybody's stories, because I feel like everybody's is just a little bit different. So can you tell me a little bit about it?
Honestly, I don't think there was something in particular. I feel like I was way too young to like really chime in on like, oh, this is what I want to pursue and this is why. And even looking back on it now, I honestly don't know. Like, I just love video games. Like, it sounds so cheesy, but it is the truth. I just love video games so much. And how I actually stumbled into playing video games was actually my parents introduced me to video games. We used to play Street Fighter together in the house. And my dad would buy me like consoles, but really buy it for himself. So I would watch him play those video games. And then finally, when he was finished being the games, I would play those games too. So it was like something that was very encouraged in my house, playing video games. And I think growing up, I realized it was something that was so much a part of me, but I never really talked about outside of like my closest friends circle. And I'm very shy. Like if you meet me, you may not think, here and what I do, I am shy, but I actually am very shy and intimidated by social settings. So that was like a huge thing where I was like, why am I not talking about this? And when I got my start with Console Creatures, it was actually through the person who was in charge of Console Creatures at that time, was a good friend of my dad's. And I would see them at work all the time together. And like when I would go to my dad's work. And James, who started Console Creatures, Stamos, he never knew I played video games because I was, again, so quiet and so shy. I never talked about anything, even though I heard them talking about video games and would be itching to talk about it with them. So then I just started writing about the games that I loved and got invited to go out to events, review games. And I was like, wait, what? Pause, hold the phone. You could review games and give an honest review, and they will give you a copy of this game. So I was shocked. I was so shocked. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. And through that, I think my generation, speaking of generations, but I think like we're the generation of, the internet video content. So it only made sense to me to then start creating more video content on my own. And, I think I've always had a passion. I'm a theater kid and a film studies kid. So I've always had a passion for like trying to create a unique perspective and like more the producing side of creating content. So I did that. And then I moved on from there. I think my like big break, what was my big break? I think my big break was probably being on there was lots of things that happened, but like I mean like it was just like a series of events. So like I was getting hired for marketing opportunities, and then from there I started to host for a TV show called Heads Up Daily and also Squad, and I became a television producer, which was insane because I've always had the dream of working in television, and the fact that like I was able to do this with video games was insane because that's something you usually see on the American side, and I knew I never wanted, at least right now, I've never had the perspective of moving to the States. So I always thought that was like a long, far-fetched dream, but be able to do that with Heads Up Daily and Squad was really a dream come true, and I had a blast with that team and producing content. And it was really, I think, what now inspires me with content creation and hosting in particular is like I'm able to be kind of like this connector to this world that so many people are fans of, different video games, different communities, but also spark some conversation and help guide that in a way that it hopefully is not toxic, but also where it's just like fun, and it really just brings back the childish innocence that we've had as a kid and as fans of video games. We could bring that passion back now. And I think that's my goal is like, we are this generation where we're starting to see creators in video games. They are much older. We were that generation that started off with growing the fandom and like internet creation, gameplay, Twitch, like all of that. And it's living now with us a longer time than like most marketing companies would like to admit. But we're seeing that change, and just to keep that going and to see that like even as gamers, no matter what life events or life cycles we are at, gaming could be a part of that, and it could look different in different ways. It could be a little bit more casual, or it could be hardcore, but maybe you're in shorter forms. And I like that challenge. I like trying to connect with people of all different generations.
Hell yeah.
And I appreciate the full circle moment. That was clean. That was very clean. Well, that is amazing. Well, you're somebody who's incredibly appreciated around here. The work that you do is important. As a woman of color in the space, there's not enough people out there doing what you do. So thank you for doing it, and you'll always have support here. So keep kicking ass left, right, and center, because you're doing the damn thing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's hop into a little bit about what we've been playing lately, because we've been busy. I see Rice has been busy. I know I've been busy. Rice, let's toss it to you first. What's been keeping you busy the last week? What's been on your radar?
Yes, absolutely. Unapologetically, Destiny 2, grinding hours and hours into basically everything, namely Iron Banner, which is PvP, for those of you who don't know, as well as an activity called Onslaught, which is really just something where you are fighting a whole bunch of different waves. And right now, the incentive for that is to unlock a whole bunch of weapons that were really prestigious in previous seasons of Destiny. And so I've got my Recluse, I've got my Succession. So these weapons that were highly coveted before and were sunset. And for those of you who play Destiny, sunset or don't play Destiny, the sunset means that those weapons were actually kind of put on the back burner. You weren't able to level those weapons up and play them in the canon, but they've brought them back, and I'm really, really hype about that. So in preparation for the next DLC, the Final Shape, I'm just really, really diving into that, watching a lot of lore videos, just kind of immersing myself back into the world of Destiny, and I'm hooked. I'm hooked once again. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come in the future.
That's what I was going to ask, because I know like you were a big time Destiny guy before, and now kind of coming back into it. Does it feel the same? Do you know what I mean? Have you recaptured that magic a little bit, that hit, or is it a little bit different now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say it's different. Right now, I kind of refer to it as the Destiny bug. And some of us used to joke about, like, that Destiny bug, you get it, and then you kind of experience a little bit of burnout, and then you play a bunch of different games, but it kind of remains a daily driver. And then it feels like you're just kind of doing chores for a bit, But I'm really in it right now, because I've been so invested in the franchise right from day one of Destiny 1. And so I don't know, there's a little bit of loyalty there as well, regardless of how I actually kind of feel about its current state. I want to see it through. And so, exactly. So like, I want to be there when this kind of Avengers Endgame moment happens for Destiny 2, and whether or not it continues into another game or whatever it is, I just want to be a part of it. So that's where I'm at.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, like, I always find like the Destiny fans man, I feel for y'all, because I hopped on to Destiny like when it first came out, and it was like bang, and it was fun, but then kind of the roller coaster.
Exactly.
So it's like, you being a core Destiny fan, do you prefer to see them close this chapter and be like, that's great, let's do a new game? Like, kind of what? Or are you afraid of like the Overwatch scenario, that it could kind of hurt the game more than help?
I that's a really great question. First of all, I am in the camp that would love to see it end. I talk about this in various other forums and conversations with people. I do love when games kind of come to a close. In music, we call it a resolve, right? So you have, or even in comedy, right? You set it up with a tension, and that tension is released with the resolve. And I feel like as a Destiny fan, like a true Destiny fan, we've been in this tension for so long. So I've been waiting for that. And I would love for them to start something new and fresh, and like really, really just go back to the beginning and figure something out. But regardless, I think that loyalty factor is a tough one to to really fight against. So yeah, the bugs got me. And I think that I'll be in it. I'll be in it till the very end. So we'll see.
I'm excited for you, my dude. That final ship is coming up quick. Cam, what about you? What's been keeping you busy?
Honestly, it's so hard to like dedicate. I feel like just time. Like with work, it's like traveling here and there. Like usually I'm playing games on the go. So I've been going back to a lot of, hear me out, Tetris 99.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
But it's like there's something about Tetris 99, and if you're playing like, because we're East Coast, if you're playing late at night, you get the Japanese players, and it like brings up that level. So like that's what I'm trying to do, trying to make top 3. I haven't like won a Tetris 99 in like over a week, and I'm kind of hurt right now. So
respect though.
Yeah,
respect.
I hopped into that when it launched, and I got curb stomped so bad. I was living in Korea at the time, so I didn't I would have to wait for weird hours to even be able to compete, because I'm not good at Tetris to begin with, and then the 99, it was just immediately overwhelming. So kudos to you. I hope you achieve your top 3 goals.
That dexterity.
I'm hoping, but I've been finding my love for Tetris again, because like you, when it first came out, I was playing that all the time. But this past like month and a half, I've been hopping in, and I've been loving my time there. And then to even that out, I've been jumping into Stardew. Playing on my Switch is like what I'm doing right now, because with traveling, it's just easy to play on the go. And I'm a wreck. Like my farm is a mess. It looks like a tornado like plowed through it. I'm not organized at all. So don't judge me if you ever see screenshots of my farm. I understand. And then of course Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, because like, and have you either of you played Rebirth?
Oh
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, it wouldn't be a PlayStation podcast.
Right.
Yeah. So I am like, what I like to do is, we record. So for autosave, we record the bulk of it, but I like to like actually pause my playthrough in time for a record, because I have a short-term memory. So it's like I want to make sure nothing's missed. I want to understand all the weirdnesses of like the hand massage innuendos that happen throughout the game, right? So that's what I've been playing, and it's like so weirdly beautiful. I just don't understand how they're able to create such a masterpiece. However, like being as far as I am right now, I haven't completed the game, so no spoilers, please.
Yeah,
not here.
Not here.
But I'm kind of like, the only thing I'm wanting right now is like some resolution, like, because playing remake, you might have got that feeling as well, where you're like, okay, I'm like 80% done this game, and I still have no idea what's happening in the story. Like, what's happening? So I'm just a little frustrated with that.
Sure.
So I'm trying to hold out till the end, and I'll check back in with you on how I feel about it.
I feel like with any big RPG, I always hit a point where like 80 to 85% of the way through, I'm like, I just want to finish this because I need to know what happens. I need to see, I need that finality right now, because I've been playing this for 75 hours. I need the ending now, please. And then I'll come back in if I'm curious. But I'm excited to hear your thoughts on Rebirth. That's awesome. We love it here. It's ridiculous how much love went into that game for it being such a massive game.
Are you two FF7 fans?
Yep.
Yes,
okay.
Big.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And to your point, like that kind of that goofy tone, while it is like still kind of this epic story, is they play with that really well. But to echo what you're saying, like after playing hours and hours of that, it's like, okay, I mean, I love the goofy, but fam, I'm trying to finish this up.
But then I tell myself that, right? And I'm like, okay, like, look, I'm just gonna firstly, Chadley, I've had enough of Chadley's like attitude and throwing these like side missions my way. It's like, Chadley, calm down. I never want to see your face again. But also, it's like, okay, Camille, let's focus. Let's not let's not do the ADHD thing and do so many different things at once. We're focusing on the story, and then I'll get someone that wants to challenge me in Queen's Blood. And I'm like, all right, well, there goes 5 hours trying to just murk them. So yeah, they should really release Queen's Blood, and this is like my goal is to like, let's get this campaign going. Queen's Blood as a mobile game.
100%.
100%. Yeah.
It's too good. It's just too much fun. You get curb stomped at the beginning, and then it starts to get better, and it starts to get better, and then once it clicks, it's game over. Like I was every time I got to a new town, I'm like, where are the three of you? Because it's over for you now. Exactly. Without spoilers, did either or both of you do the chicken side quest?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
You didn't.
That's okay. You can spoil this. You can spoil this.
Did you not platinum the game? Did you?
I did not. So here's
though.
Here's a number, like a confession. I don't know if I've ever said this on the pod, but so I am not a trophy hunter.
Me neither, dude.
Okay.
I never have been. Here. Okay. And like I'm on Twitter and I'm seeing all of our friends and mutuals. They're like, I just platinum this game. I'm like, fam, I'm just here and I wasted like 17 hours on the character creation screen because that's what I love.
Hey, you know what, right? So, like, honestly, I am not, and Chris helps us out. Also, shout out to Chris, who helps us out on capturing the gameplay for our autosave. Because like you would be like, your eyes would probably bleed if you saw my gameplay because like it's all over the place. Chris is really great at making it focused on like, okay, this is the story beats we need to hit and not like 10 hours of Queen's Blood. But like I'm actually not a trophy hunter as well. Like I'm not. However, there are those games that warrant a trophy. Right. Spider-Man.
Yes.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
I've platinumed Spider-Man. Yes.
1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm.
God of War.
Oh, God of War I haven't platinumed, but that's a good one to actually,
That's a good one. And to round it off, Final Fantasy VII. I'll put remake and rebirth. So you know what? We got to catch you up, right?
All right. Respect. Honestly, like I'm going to take a moment just to give Cam her flowers just for a second. I was waiting for a moment to do this. Like, I look up to you for real. Like your work inspires me. You're everywhere. And like, I'm not capping or being hyperbolic, like for real. Like I appreciate the work that you do in the spaces that you're in. So like, yes, all of that I respect. And if today is the day that I become a trophy hunter, it'll be because Cam said so.
Oh, honestly, that's too sweet. You're gonna make me cry up in here. Oh.
No, hell yeah, that's truth.
This is Rice's origin story here, and I'm just glad to be a small part of it. I'm just happy to be here.
I'm gonna be the master at like trophies from this moment forward. He's
he's gonna buy like a physical case behind him and just start putting stuff in there just to display it on the show, just to be like, look, I'm doing it.
Physical representation of the platinums that I've done in my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up with like sunglasses on and just like act already cooler than you already do.
Oh, you guys.
Kind. Well, in my little zone, I finished Tales of Kenzera Zao, loved it. That story is beautiful. That art style is incredible. It's just such a meaningful ride, start to finish. The gameplay can have some friction to it. It's not like 100% there yet, but as a first game out for this studio, for the amount of heart and soul that went into this, it's on PlayStation Plus. If you have extra, please go check this game out because it is beautiful. It is wonderful. I just so much enjoyed my time with it. Go check it out. Randomly decided to hop into Sleeping Dogs. I downloaded it on my Steam Deck.
You are in for a ride.
I played it back in the day, but I was like, I saw it on sale and I was like, you know what? I was like, there's just something itching in my mind. I kind of want to play Sleeping Dogs again. And I've been playing it on my Steam Deck and it's so good. It still holds up.
It's so good. And like, I like about 2 weeks ago now got back from Hong Kong and like, this is my third time going. And when Sleeping Dogs came out, it was like one of those things where I'm like, Ladies Market. Like you were pointing at, like
Mhm.
I know that. Like they completely took Hong Kong and put it in the
That's
game
so
like
cool.
so accurately. So it's just it's so good.
It's so good, and it still holds up so well. Even like its
Really?
gameplays and its systems and the
That's good.
combat, like it's a lot of fun. Hop back into Cyberpunk. I played it and finished it when it came out, but I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to head towards the DLC. But I wanted to do it from a fresh save and kind of experience 2.0 from the jump. So I've been playing that a little bit. It's great. Like I liked it when it came out, despite its problems. Even still today, it's a great time. Definitely going to be making myself like a ninja hacker is my plan for my character here. And then I hopped into a game that's coming out on PlayStation in a couple of days called Imagine Earth. Steve and I actually did an interview with the developers. That'll be up on the channel in the next day or two. It's a city builder, but it has like a huge sustainability curve to it, where all of the actions that you're doing while you're building on these alien planets, like actively destroy the environment while you're doing it. So it's like this constant push-pull of how do you go about making a civilization and keeping everybody safe while also keeping the planet safe. And the devs do like an awesome job of actually giving back to the world that we live in. They plant trees for games sold. They do a lot.
That's dope.
Yeah, we did an interview with them that'll be up soon. So check that out because they're a couple of awesome guys. And that game looks really cool. So make sure you go check it out. But without further ado, let's hop into some news, and let's kick things off with a little bit of PlayStation Plus news for the month of May, because from the PlayStation blog, we got the announcement of the May monthly games that are hitting all tiers, but essential is importantly. FC24 is hitting PS4, PS5. We're getting Ghost Runner 2 on PS5, Tunic on PS4 and PS5, and Destiny 2 Lightball on PS4, PS5. There's also an FC Ultimate Starter Pack. Cam, how are we feeling about this month's PlayStation Plus Essential?
I mean, okay. I think firstly, any free game's a good game. Free-ish, like you have the subscription, but still, like it's a good game. However, I think it's just like my whole thing with how when it was broken down to these different tiers of like it's I want every tier to feel like they're getting like that win. Tunic here is definitely a huge win, like really amazing game. If you're a fan of The Legend of Zelda like I am, you will enjoy Tunic. So please play that game. But it's like I always want more. Like I feel like we're never satisfied, right? But like I think it's like you have what makes like good monthly releases to me. It's like you have something for everyone, every type of player, right? Like you want to offer like a shooter experience, you want more of adventure or a cozier experience, and I think that this month you get that there, and you get Rice's Destiny, you know. So like he's happy.
Yes, I am partial to that. I mean, I'm glad that some people are going to get more access to the Destiny 2 content, and looking forward to, I don't know, making the community kind of hype about the whole world again. So it's a win. It's a win for me. Plus, Tunic is beautiful. Yeah. Honestly, it's such a beautiful game. Even outside of the other accolades it's gotten, it's so pretty. My sister jokes about like the genre of game she loves is pretty. So if it looks pretty, I'll play it.
Naomi's a fan of the pretty genre.
That's it.
Yeah, I think this is a solid month. I think like while FC is not for me, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are probably excited about getting not FIFA but FIFA. Tunic is just adorable. Like it looks great. I have a friend who got like way obsessed with it and was texting me pictures of the notebook that he had, and he was literally like making pages on notes on some of the puzzles and like the language in there. So I think that game is going to hit. And is Lightball the last one, Rice, before the final shape? Is this now all of Destiny 2? Correct. Up until the finale that has now been on Plus?
This is the most recent DLC. Yes.
Okay, so that's pretty much the entire Destiny 2 experience, just outside of final shape. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it'll be good. It'll be fun for people to get into it and also just know the happenings just before final shape. So
yeah, I think this is a solid month. We'll obviously talk about extra and premium when those hit in a couple weeks. But I think for essential, this is a good month. It's not great, it's not terrible, but it is good. Let's mosey on over to some Helldivers 2 news, and we're going to kind of break this down a little bit because there's been a lot going on with Helldivers 2 over the course of the last couple days.
Yes.
And let's kick things off with an article from VGC written by Jordan Midler, because Helldivers 2 Backlash continues as Sony pulls the game from over 150 regions. The game has been roundly condemned by players for mandatory PSN linking. Helldivers 2 is now unavailable for purchase in over 150 regions. On Friday, publisher Sony announced that from May 30th, the Steam version of Helldivers will require all players to sign in with a PlayStation Network account. This change, which was present at the game's launch but then removed, caused a huge backlash. There was members of the community who were incredibly upset. The developers, Arrowhead Studios, were similarly not happy. There were a lot of conversations back and forth with PlayStation. They dropped the reviews. They had over 100,000 negative Steam reviews in less than 48 hours. Over 150 countries unable to purchase the game or be able to play it. And then we're just going to kind of quickly follow up with the resolution that hit last night at like midnight of all times.
Yes.
With PlayStation tweeting out, Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update, the May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. Now, I'm of kind of a couple different minds on this, because I think that the linking is still broken for me. Every time I try and link my accounts, it just won't let me. It just doesn't work. On top of the fact that there's a lot of people who would have been unable to play this game properly or unable to buy it. That sucks. And I think that this should have been present at launch, or Sony should have figured all this out before going ahead with this, because the developers are the ones who really have suffered at the end of the day, going so far as getting death threats and people like really going at them very, very unfairly for a decision that obviously wasn't their own. Nice to see PlayStation kind of coming out and being like, all right, we're not doing it. But this was a whole mess. Cam, where are your thoughts on all of this?
It sucked, and I'm happy it's not happening. I think this is a prime example of probably how there's executives that are looking to monetize, get as much money as possible by getting more subscriptions to PlayStation, network. Sorry, there's a fire truck, I think, that you might have heard. Is apologies, I have the window open. It's a good day in Toronto. But okay, back to gaming. So I think this is a prime example of how you might have had executives, people that are outside of the studio, saying, hey, we need to this is an opportunity to make more money for PlayStation as a whole, by linking the accounts or asking to link the accounts. My thing is, this was also something, wasn't this announced at game launch and then they
Yep.
Yes.
came back from that? So it's weird that this is something that is reoccurring and now comes back a second time. So I understand the hate comments. I think people also take this news, although we're all fans and passionate about gaming, and I love Helldivers, by the way. You got to get that liberté, as Chris is saying. But it's just, you got to watch yourself online, because you don't know these people, and they are people. There's still people behind these games, and also people that may not be on the developer team that work for these companies that didn't make these decisions, or maybe they made these decisions because that's just the MO of a company right now. It doesn't mean that you should send them death threats. Don't be an idiot. But I think it's smart of them to overturn this. I do think the fact that they first announced their choice to move forward, or wanting to move forward, on May 30th on Friday, I didn't expect an update till I honestly thought the update would come around 3:00 today, or noon. So I think they just got it out there, so to hush people and be like, okay, calm down, we're sorry. But it does take no one's working on the weekend to release this news to overturn it, right? It has to go through a bunch of different people to make that decision. So I'm glad it's still a pretty fast decision to make to overturn it. I'm just curious to why. Why again? That's the weird thing. So I'm just kind of nervous. Is this something that we're going to see, maybe not implemented in full, but maybe in terms of cosmetics or perks or something that are going to be available only if you have PlayStation Network. Like I'm curious about that. And I think with PlayStation, they're really trying to get the formula right with how to integrate other platforms into their strategy. And obviously, they need a little bit more work on that side.
Rice, what are you thinking?
Yeah, actually, to echo that last point there, I know I'm gonna reference Destiny a lot today. But what Destiny was doing before is that there were kind of exclusives provided to PSN players that would later then become available to other platforms later, but they would get like that cosmetic stuff first, or a weapon would be released first. So yeah, that would be kind of like I think a better way to go about it. And yeah, totally, like when this is something I'm learning in therapy right now, guys. Okay, while feelings are completely valid, behaviors are not always acceptable, right? So in this case, I understand and validate the anger that some people were feeling, but it's not that deep. It's not that serious, like y'all got to chill with that. Now that said, like there has to be some compromise, some resolution. I actually was not expecting this response from PlayStation. So when I saw this, I was pleasantly surprised, and I was happy that they were moving in that direction. Kind of just reading through comments and different forums and such. Generally speaking, people are like, "Oh, they listened. This is great." Like, I hope that this is a trend that continues. It's important that that executive side does have dialogue with the community. So yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I think a lot of this is probably coming to, like, I mean, we know Ghost of Tsushima is hitting on PC, and PC is very much becoming a focus point for PlayStation. And I think what they want here is for them to start layering this, like Cam was saying, even more so as these things happen. I don't know if this is the end for Helldivers 2 with its PSN worries, because linking the account is not a massive issue, but it's just another thing to do. And it's not like PlayStation's unique in this. I mean, playing Sea of Thieves on PlayStation, you have to link your Microsoft account. You have to link your Ubisoft account. So there's a lot of these things that are already commonplace. The issue was this was actively being taken away from people where PlayStation Network is not a thing. And that's an issue. And there's nothing wrong with speaking up and being like, this is not okay. This is wrong for X, Y, and Z. It's when it becomes personal, and especially amongst the hate that people are getting online right now outside of this, with Gamergate 2 and all this other crap going on and people being spotlighted for stuff. I'm worried that this will teach people the wrong lesson, because some folks will look at this and say, hey, we were abusive and loud and we won. We got what we wanted because we were awful to these people. So therefore we should continue to do this, rather than being a thing of, hey, this was a stupid decision. We made that clear. We didn't insult or send death threats or whatever else. This was something that worked. That's my worry going forward. Is I'm really happy PlayStation listened, because I do think that this is something they need to iron out before they bring sweeping change in, especially when I said people will not be able to play the game. It's another thing for the wrong group of people to feel emboldened by this and to continue to do this moving forward. So I think I'm curious to see how this will continue to play out, and whether they'll try and reintroduce this into Helldivers 2 6 months from now or a year from now, as they bring more and more PlayStation games to Steam and to PC, because I don't think this is the end.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. Like that perspective of the people that were being really toxic in the comments, it's like it validates them to some extent that they believe that they were right. And there's no question that their opinion of the decision may have been in the right effort. But it's like, I think that's when it's, comes down to the community as a whole to really hold those that are vocal a little bit, like give them a little bit of ownership on that, right? Like you don't have to go out and like be toxic back, but you can choose not to subscribe to their content. If they're content creators, you can choose not to support them, or choose to unfollow them if you don't want that toxicity. So it's like man, you were only right because the whole community let
yes, exactly,
let their dislikes for that decision heard. But it doesn't make it any better when you have people that are just spewing personal hate to these developers. But yeah, like I kind of wonder with this now, and as you mentioned, like with other games that are clearly coming to PC as part of PlayStation's strategy, it's like, how do they actually integrate PlayStation Network? And for me, I think it starts in house. It's like, okay, we'll make PlayStation Network available in those 150 to 50 countries that it's unavailable. Start there first, right? Because that's the thing. It's like it's easiest, in console gaming. This is gonna sound, it's more affordable than a PC, right? It's like the more affordable option, and there's different consoles, different generations that you could buy into based on what you can afford, right? But it is the more affordable option, right? So as soon as you start closing those doors more, you're like, it's more of a decision that's weighing on the side of, why don't I just get a PC?
Right.
I could just get a PC. They don't offer PlayStation Network. You know what? Eventually, maybe it'll come down the road 2 years or 3 years from now on PC without that requirement, right? So it's like, just don't make it hard on yourself. Figure out the 150 countries that PSN is not available in, which is crazy. Like, I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that they get their stuff together, because I feel like they're playing with old infrastructure, and whatever they want to do moving forward needs to be ironed out now, because I feel like this would have been a non-starter if, like you said, Cam, this was in it from the beginning, which was already the plan. And they obviously realized that they couldn't get it working everywhere. So before they try something like this again, I think it would have been one thing if all it was a free linking, and that's all it is. This is available to everyone. It doesn't lock anybody out. And if people were still drumming up a fuss, I think that's one thing. It's another to like you said, close the door on people, and that's all it is. But we will keep you posted as things continue to happen. Ghost of Tsushima hits in just a couple of weeks, so I'm curious to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Touching on a quick story from last week that we ended off on, but didn't have any resolution. There was a tease coming from Housemarque about something Returnal related, and this is coming from VGC from Jordan Midler. But we are getting a Returnal graphic novel along with an art book. Returnal Fallen Asteria is a graphic novel that will be released on October 22nd in bookshops and following days in comic book stores. It will be 88 pages long. There's an animated comic here as well that I urge you to check out. It's really cool. But yeah, we had hope that this might be a VR game, a sequel, a DLC, and anything in between. It is still awesome that it's a comic book. I will take more Returnal in any form. But any thoughts or feelings about this crew?
I like consuming anything. I like reading comics. I love reading graphic novels. That's a medium that I have always really enjoyed. As someone who doodles, as someone who loves to draw, I get so much inspiration from things like this, and it's Returnal. So it's more stuff to consume in a different form, in a different medium, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's a weird tease though. I'm not gonna lie. It was a weird
totally
tease. And I think it's like, when you're dealing with those studios that may not be used to dealing with a game that was so successful as Returnal, it's like everyone is watching that account waiting for the next bit of video game content. And I'm not saying I'm not excited for the comic books. I think one of the things that a lot of us, when they first saw Returnal, it stands out because it is not the usual protagonist we see. It was marketed in a very cool, edgy, mysterious way, got us all entangled with it, then made our hairs fall out because it's a roguelike and it drove us mad. But it's it's very weird. They should have just said, hey, we're coming out
The comic, right?
Like, just set the expectations from the jump, so people aren't like, wait, what? Where? No other content. But saying that, like, they're still invested in this IP, right? So I do feel like potentially there may be more news for hopefully Returnal content in game, or maybe a sequel around the corner.
I hope you're right, Cam, because that would make us
Same.
very, very happy. Let's hit on one last news story before we turn over to some listener questions. Heading over to Insider Gaming, coming from Tom Henderson. Resident Evil 9 is evidently aiming for launch in January 2025. It's claimed. A reputable Resident Evil insider has claimed that Resident Evil 9, dubbed to be the franchise's next title, is set to launch in January 2025. According to Dusk Golem, the game should be revealed quote-unquote soon and is set to launch in January 2025. However, as he points out, it is just a date the developers are aiming for, and it could change. Evidently, it has been in development for the past 7 years. Cam, are you a big horror game person?
I hate horror games. However, I love Resident Evil. Like, it is such a weird thing, and I think because it's like more survival horror origins is why I'm captivated by Resident Evil. Like, so I do. We do this weird thing. So like I started off playing Resident Evil like with my cousins, and like where they lived was like in the middle of the forest, and for some reason they never had like curtains or blinds on their windows. So like we would play at nighttime and be like a whole thing. Okay. I like swear I probably almost died like 5 times of a panic attack as a kid. No. But it's now something that like Resident Evil is a game, because I'm such a scaredy cat. Like I can't even watch trailers for like horror movies or even horror games because I think about it all the time and I scare myself like for like a month on end. But like it's now something that I play like with my whole like friend group. Like we get together, we have it on the projector, we play, we all take turns because we're all scared. So I'm excited for the next Resident Evil. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Resident Evil coming out in fall.
This year?
Ooh.
I would say this year.
Ooh, okay. That's spicy.
Because, like you said, it's been in development for so long. And Capcom, they're really good at saying like, hey, and it's coming out in 4 months. Yeah. You know, like they're really good at like doing that. And just because like I don't, like if there was another, it's either that or another remake planned. But because the next sequence of events for remake, it's kind of a tricky one because it's with even like 2-player. And if they're going to do that, who knows? I would say it would probably be full RE9 hitting fall.
I'm going to bring in a listener question because Nagachaka writes in asking about Resident Evil 9, saying, if the rumors are true and Resident Evil 9 is coming out this January, if so, what are you looking for from the upcoming title? First person or third person, new protagonist, or a classic character like Claire Redfield taking the lead? Cam, what do you want out of 9?
No. I love Claire. Right? I love Claire. However, what they've built with like Ethan and like this whole other like rebooting the story in a sense and like having all the other characters intertwined, I think that's more interesting. Like nothing could top Biohazard, or well, 7, right? Like nothing could top that, and how they were able to completely revamp it and make it like more horror, like for someone who doesn't like horror, and is saying like that was awesome. Like that's really cool. So I really do hope they kind of go that direction. I think what we get with the remakes is kind of feeding that fandom that we have for other those longtime characters. And I'm not saying I don't like want them in the main storyline. I just would rather the intertwining element rather than them being the primary focal point throughout the game.
So let me ask you this, Rice, because like I'm like you, Cam. I am a giant scaredy cat. I like Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4, especially the remake, is fantastic. I loved 7 and 8 from the pieces that I've played of it before I just fell off and got distracted elsewhere. But do you think with 9, is this like the resolution of a potential trilogy here? I'm not sure if 8 lends itself where it ends in terms of a final act for the Pro Tag from 7 and 8. Do you see this going in that direction? Do you think they're going to pivot Rice? Where are you at on the potential Resident Evil 9?
Oh man, that is a good point. I actually don't think that it would go in that direction. That would make sense. But just with the plethora of different experiences through, like 4 and 5, people feel a little bit. There's a little bit of discourse there in terms of like, what genre is this? Is this an action game? Is this, but to Cam's point about Biohazard just being this incredibly eerie, environmentally scary, and also kind of like twisted and disgusting, for me, right? Like I same thing. I had family members that played it because when I got into Resident Evil, I was way too young. And back then it was fixed cam and like the graphics were terrible, like retrospectively, but back then it was just this like kind of communal activity that you could do together was super, super fun. And so I think I've veered off from the original question, but all this to say, I think that I don't know. I don't think that they would kind of cap it off. It would be a completely new experience at this point.
Yeah, I don't see them capping it off either. And like, given Resident Evil franchise, the games, like, even though there's a dedicated fan base and there's a history that like no one could dispute that Resident Evil has had in video games, it inspired so many other video games. There were some games where you're just kind of like I forgot where you're like working for Umbrella and you're like the operators going in to Raccoon City.
Yeah,
it was like what? So like, I think now that they like really with Biohazard, I think they really found something that appeals to a mass audience. And even with 8, like 8 was more action than horror. But I think it makes sense to go back to horror. Like a lot of fans want horror more. And I think that they should lean to that. That's where they found success. And I'm not saying 8 wasn't good, but it's more to like, I think core Resident Evil fans would enjoy 8, but that mass audience might have fell off at 8, right? So I think it makes sense to kind of go through another really like horror genre type of experience and continuing the story. Like if Capcom tells us anything, it says that their stories never have an end. So I really could see that they could just continue this story instead of capping it off. Like there's always something else. It always builds on. Like I can't see them just ending it like this.
Right.
Chris in the chat, do we get it at Summer Game Fest? Do we get a tease of RE9 at Summer Game Fest?
I mean, hey, Summer Game Fest is pretty close. But hey, if I already put it out there that I'm thinking I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in fall. I would say, yeah, Summer Game Fest. I think it makes sense to get a tease. Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep it locked because we are going to be talking much more about Resident Evil 9 as we find out more. Let's bring in some more questions from our friends around the internet. We got Randy Parag writing in at Starlord2456. What was your first? He's got a few questions, so let's rattle through them. What was your first PlayStation game? Your first PlayStation game. I remember mine. It was Disney's Hercules. My parents got it for me. Got me a PS1 for Christmas. And I remember popping that in and playing it. And then after like 20 minutes, my parents were like, all right, go to bed. And I came back down the next morning and my dad and my uncle had stayed up all night playing the PS1 because they sent me to bed early because they wanted to play, not because of anything else. But Disney's Hercules was my first game on PlayStation.
Wow. For myself, it would have been Gran Turismo 2. Cool. Playing with my uncle, my cousin. Lot of racing early on in my PlayStation experithis.
Oh, that's a hard one. Good. That's a good one too, GT. This is hard because it's like I was so young. I don't even know if I remember. I just remember like my first like core memory, and I don't even know. It was like a demo for PlayStation, which was like, when you're the rabbit, you're like jumping. Oh my gosh, it's at the tip of my tongue. Oh, Rice, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh my god,
Rabbit?
Is it Jumping Flash?
Yes, yes. It is that
Jumping Flash. Yes, it's a rabbit.
You get the carrots and everything. I remember having a blast on that demo. I was playing that.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my
all
goodness.
the time. That was like a good throwback.
That's a deep cut.
But I would say probably Harvest Moon Save the Homeland was my first game. That and like I played the heck out of Bloody Roar.
Nice.
Bloody Roar. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What an amazing game.
What a time. What a time.
I wish I like wanted to be Yuriko the half beast. I was like, Mom, I swear it could happen. Like if a dog bites me out there or something, like I could you know.
Your mom's like turning around while you're like, oh, look, a stray dog. Come here.
Yeah. My imagination was wild as a kid.
I don't think mine ever left. And Randy's next question, what's your favorite PlayStation game? This one's tough. This one's
really hard, man, because it evolves. But if you're asking for an all-time, and I know it's not exclusive to PlayStation anymore, but I started Tekken on PlayStation, and
nice.
I think that for me, like an all-timer would be Tekken.
I think for me it has to be Persona 4 Golden. It's like it is my favorite game of all time, period. And playing it on the Vita back in the day was just an experience. Not exclusive anymore, but yeah, just Persona 4 Golden is just so special.
Oh my gosh, that's like choosing amongst like your favorite pet, you know?
Right?
Like,
I know there's so many.
There's so many, like Dark Cloud, really good game.
That's a cut.
Ooh, but like you got DDR, man. Like
yes, let's go. Oh, I used to have that pad. Throw it down after school.
Okay, wait. Okay, I think my favorite game. I'm going for the troll. Final Fantasy X2. There we go.
Okay.
All right. X2.
Respect.
Okay.
No, it's solely for the troll. Yeah, solely for. I can't pick my favorite game because I cannot.
Because we'd have to go through every generation.
Seriously,
yeah,
and pick a favorite.
If it was per generation, maybe, but it's like I can't compare like say God of War Ragnarok
totally
to like OG God of War because it's a very different time.
Yes,
they're very different games.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's hard. Like there's too many, and there's too many good ones. Yes. Randy's next question: what if you could live in any PlayStation game world? Which one would you want to live in? For me, Astrobot. Especially after the PS5 thing. Like you have different like highways to different areas. You can go to the beach still. There's like all of this stuff going on. It's just I think Astrobot would be cool to live in. It'd be very colorful and very fun.
That's interesting.
These are some tough questions.
Randy's coming out swinging.
I know,
yeah,
right?
for sure. Do you got one, Cam, or should we?
You go first. I'm thinking.
Yeah, just for the sake of exploring different worlds and ones that are eons away from here. Like it would be interesting to live in a Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West kind of world. And I don't know, I really enjoyed kind of diving into the lore and kind of the cultures of the different tribes that you meet. And so yeah, it would be a different kind of humanity to experience. But yeah, I think that would be a really interesting place. Dangerous.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Beautiful.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I want to say like, yeah, God of War, but it's like, oh, the world's ending in Ragnarok. So, I mean, is that the best place to visit? I would say like, I'm going to say, oh, no, I don't want to say that. This is hard. Parappa the Rapper. Imagine you wake up.
Okay.
Hit, punch, and it's like it's in your head all day, and it's okay to sing out loud because that's the world.
That's the world.
Yeah.
What animal would you want to be in Parappa's world? Let's say you wake up and you're an animal. Yeah. Which one would it be?
I would want to be like a rabbit.
I can see that. That would be awesome.
Hit, punch.
And Randy's final question: what's your favorite PlayStation console?
Ooh,
Man.
I would say PS2.
I was just gonna say that.
Same.
PS2 has so many deep cuts for me.
PS2 is just there's just way too much. PS2 is listen. PS2, PS1, like all the generations have had something special, but PS2 is just Kingdom Hearts, bro.
I was about to say Kingdom Hearts.
Like, come on.
Oh my God! Why did I
live in that world?
Kingdom, well, I mean, I thought that one of you guys would have at least said Kingdom Hearts. That's why I was like, oh,
that would have been a good answer.
That would have been the best answer.
Jake in the chat, Vita has my heart. That is the correct answer. Jake, I neglected the handhelds. Vita is the correct answer. Vita. The Vita is just incredible.
Vita, good one.
Chris writes in saying, would you rather fight one Kratos-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized Kratoses? Kratos?
Definitely the one Kratos-sized chicken for me. Because then we could eat after.
Also, we've seen what Kratos does to things that are much bigger than him. He's climbed literal like mountainous creatures and still taken them out. Having 100 chicken-sized ones is a game over. Is a game over.
Yeah, I mean, hey, don't underestimate a chicken. If anything, Zelda has taught me those cuckoos. Like, don't underestimate them.
That's true.
I got knocked out. Link's got knocked out. So I would only want to take on the one as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I also have like a terrifying fear of birds and chickens specifically, so I feel like coming up against like a man-sized one would be a little. I don't want to think about.
Think of the muscles.
Yeah. Oh, I just got chills.
People talk about KFC and how it's genetically modified. Imagine a Kratos chicken.
A roided out chicken.
Just
like
that would just holding an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I do go to the 100 Kratos size.
Yeah.
100 little ones.
This was a more difficult question than we initially anticipated.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second, this is a crisis. Wait, what am I actually saying here? Maybe the 100's better. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Oh, God. Savoy Prime writes in, the homie, saying, question for the show. What is the best kind of bro, and why is it a Falcom bro? This is, Falcom bros are the best. Savoy Prime and I share a massive love for the Falcom and its Trails series, him as well, and Yeez. Have you played any of the Trails games, Cam?
No.
You need to.
Wait. Explain this to me.
Okay.
When I saw this question, I was like, huh, bro?
Yeah, so, I didn't know this either.
So Falcom is like a niche art publisher out in Japan. They have a series called the Trail series, The Legend of Heroes, and basically it started out like years and years and years ago. And essentially what they've done over the course of now honestly 13, 14 games is that every 3 to 4 of them are set in a different place on the same continent where everyone is at war. So one series takes place in the giant empire that's trying to demolish everything around it. One takes place in a tiny civil state that is just getting run over. Another takes place in the third party that's trying not to get involved, but also kind of has to. So it's this massive Game of Thrones sprawling story across all of these different characters, and they come together end game style at the end of what was the last game that kind of brought a close to this massive chapter. The next game is coming out in July, which takes us to a different warring area, but still part of the same world. It's this massive, incredible tapestry. And Savoy Prime and I have spoken at length about how much we love these games. They're just so good. They're so special. It's a massive commitment, but I would tell you to play it. And actually, a couple of them are on Switch, Cam, and they are great ports. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm looking up some other pictures now, and this is definitely one of those games I feel like it'd be hours.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it will be
starting in 2004.
Yep.
And has consistently kind of released games throughout the years. This is impressive.
It is.
Sorry, it's turn-based, you said?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of and maybe it's just the art style, Fire Emblem.
Kind of around there. It's if you take Game of Thrones, Persona, and just kind of throw it all together into this massive political story, but also just a ton of heart. It's real good.
This is I would love this.
It's dangerous. I feel like this one's dangerous.
It's a slippery slope because once you get caught in one of them, you're in for the next like 12 games, and it's
can't do this. You can't do this to me, man. There's so many games.
You
right
just
now.
spent like 120 hours in 2 weeks on Dragon's Dogma 2. I know you got time.
You're right. You're right. It's managing that time, you know.
I know. Savoy Prime also had a question about Helldivers and PlayStation. We talked about that, so we're going to hop to our final question coming from the tech with the specs himself, Mr. Steve Igvari at Igvari Writing, and saying, "Hi, PlayStation generation, long time, first time." Steve has a habit of writing in on these questions, and I think this might be one of the best ones. Would you rather eat 10 gallons of cookie dough or 10 gallons of ice cream? You're not allowed to consume anything else until either is fully eaten.
Either way, we're pooping.
Either way, it's a run.
Either
I'm
way.
lactose intolerant, so like,
oh god,
yeah, it's like it's.
Oh man,
that's a hard it's a
yeah. Either way, I did see it. This is such a Steve move to bring this question up, and I did give it much thought, Steve, because obviously you knew I would, and I thought about this. All like I think 2 days now. When did you write that in? Like I've asked a few questions, like a few people too, to like do my research on like some benefits. So like the benefits, right? Like if you have cookie dough, I'm actually you don't get brain freeze. I love
True.
I love warm things. I'm not like I like ice cream, but only sometimes. And like I'm a person that I need like 20 blankets. Like I'm always cold. So it's like I first was going to say I'm going with the raw cookie dough. However, the cookie dough is very heavy and it's like it's going to sit in your stomach. You're going to feel more full with the cookie dough. Whereas the ice cream, he didn't say you couldn't melt that down into a milkshake.
That's true.
Oh, look at that.
And
that is why that is my answer. The ice cream.
Jake has a point in the chat. Raw cookie dough has uncooked flour and eggs. You'll die eventually.
Yeah, that's facts.
Which is a fair point. Cam, I think you're spot on with the ice cream. I feel like even if you don't melt it, it will melt inside you, and I feel like you'll have more room to finish it faster than 10 gallons of cookie dough. I feel like will take you literal days to get through, and it will not be a comfortable experience.
Yeah. Plus our teeth after we'd be our dentist bills, the cavity.
Faux show. Now you were saying that you're always cold.
I'm always cold. Yeah.
You're always cold. Actually, yeah, I remember the conversation that you guys had about your pillow.
Yes.
And I actually am always hot.
Same.
So yeah, like my wife will be under the covers like the whole night. I won't have the comforter on me and I'll have a fan blasting in my face.
Dude, me and you both, man.
One of those.
In the winter time.
Same.
So I actually
thought
quite
we all
enjoy
had something special here, and then you guys got weird.
But definitely ice cream for me. I actually just like the experience of eating ice cream, even though I shouldn't have it. But yeah, it's ice cream, Steve. There's your answer.
Yep. Court in the chat. Good point, Jake. But I'm lactose as well, so I could die of dehydration from pooping. So that is also scientific.
Yeah. Court, the real question is then, would you rather die than eat?
It sounds like either one of these ends in death because either it's the uncooked flour and eggs or it's the dehydration. It's just, do you want to go slowly or slightly less slowly?
It's a lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose. But that brings us to the end of the show, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Cam, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure having you. Where can people see more of you on this worldwide internet of ours?
The worldwide internet of ours. You could find me on what was I going to say? Oh yeah, on social media everywhere at This Is Camco, as well as like I'm always doing the NASCAR, the Rainbow Six stuff, as well as a whole bunch of other things. And with the E3 non-E3 thing coming back this year, you're probably going to see a lot of content coming up from me around that as well. So stay tuned.
I hope you come back and join us again in the future because it was an absolute pleasure having you.
Yes. Oh, of course. Anytime. And then we'll actually eat all the ice cream.
There you go. But 10 gallons between us shouldn't be that bad.
Not bad.
All right.
Rice, my dude, what about you, my friend?
Absolutely. As always, you can catch me on Twitch at RiceBoy, BOYYY TV. Same things on socials and on my link tree. Interact with me on socials. I will be doing open lobbies for Destiny 2 in the foreseeable future.
There you go. Go check out Rice. Go hit up his open lobbies in Destiny 2. As for myself, you can find me online. I'm @_SilverSoul. And I'm just getting some information here that you may want to stay locked to the show and to Console Creatures, because there may be some giveaways happening very, very soon that we'll talk about when we can. But please keep it locked. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Bye.